So next is from Giant Faroot, and the subject is Khan and Jericho. On a recent Dave Meltzer show, Dave flat out said that ticket sales for recent AEW TV tapings have been abysmal. He said that, at the time of writing this, the last two Dynamite shows have drawn less than 7,000 people to venues that hold a combined 20,000 seats. My question for you guys is, why do you think that Tony Khan keeps pushing Chris Jericho? I'm not going to act like Chris Jericho isn't a legend. He is, but for 4 years he's been a main focus of every single AEW show, and he's simply not drawing the numbers. I'm not saying fire him, but is it time that Khan wakes up and understands that just maybe Chris Jericho isn't a top guy anymore? Billy Body got schooled all weekend by everyone on Twitter. That's his life now. Dude, you're actually trying to blame... You watch that show every week, and you want to blame the numbers on Chris Jericho? Bro, like, Chris Jericho is the least of the problems on that show. Like, if you're trying to blame the ratings on Chris Jericho, he's the guy that, like I said, we had to put email earlier. They have 163 guys on their TV. It's like you're blaming Jericho. So, bro, blame the fact that you don't have enough top guys wrestling each other on your weekly television and angles. That's why your show doesn't draw. Period. You know. Well, what do you think about this? Blaming Jericho for the not drawing.
I said that he'd been the focus of every single AEW show. That's not true.
That's not, yeah. Actually, you know what? That falls under our misinformation policy, right, Joe?
Yeah, I think it should.
Yeah, well, so let's suspend the guy for the week for misinformation.
Theo combo.
Yeah, and plus, you can tell just from the tone of the letter you don't like Jericho. Now, people say, "Oh, well, he's your friend, bro." So is Rey Mysterio, and we buried both of them, and they both understand that they don't stop talking to us, okay? Because they know it doesn't come from a place with malice or forethought. What a tremendous term for Latino, but bro, Jericho is a veteran, a locker room leader. Sold a ton of merchandise, from shirts to the bubbly and all that other stuff. He can still go. He's somebody that you want to have in the locker room.
He's a hell of a deal.
Now, yeah, he's a hell of a deal. Now, but I will say this: when he came out with the Jericho, what was the team that was him and Ortiz and
Jericho Appreciation Society?
No, it was something else at first, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What do they call themselves?
Oh, yeah. Inner Circle. I'm sorry, you're
right.
Yeah.
If you look at the Inner Circle, Ortiz didn't get over. Santana didn't get over. Jake
Hager.
Hager didn't get over. Sammy's the only one that got kind of over. And, of course, Chris, and he should have gotten all those guys over.
Well, let me, perfect example, okay? Well, when you were with LAX, what did you guys do to get over?
We did great promos.
And great vignettes. You had your room. Everybody would sit around. You'd actually run angles. People would sit around a table, drink. You do entertaining television. Bro, everything they did with this group was, let's all come out in the ring and do an interview together, and everybody try to get a word in. We're in the back. We're doing an interview with Tony Schiavone. We got a minute. Everybody's trying to get a line in. Bro, nobody's going to get over in that environment. You need to produce the type of TV where it's character development, like they did an Impact with Conan and LAX. It's like, these guys are Mexican street gang, and this is they're hanging out. Like, it's very defined characters. None of these guys were defined characters. They were just like guys that were in Jericho's group and challenging other groups to fights. Like, it's like that was it, right?
Also, when LAX re-debuted, they came in and beat the shit out of like the two top tag teams. You know what I mean? And then won the belts. They came in and went boom and just beat everybody. So
so it's like, all right, so next is, you agree with that, right, Conan?
Yes.
Because let's be honest, the best booking of LAX was with you and Impact, and that was a very entertaining television. Next is from Theo Combo, and the subject is Nate Diaz put someone to sleep. What's good, K100? Did you see this, by the way, Conan?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to show the video. I'm sure everybody saw it. What's good, K100 crew? Recently, Stockton's favorite son, Nate Diaz, is filmed getting 2 altercations in New Orleans. One inside a venue during a boxing event. The second was a minor street fight in which Diaz ninja choked a guy out. He clearly has a target on his back. People will probably test him for the rest of his life. So, were Conan and Disco ever targeted by wannabe tough guys in the streets just because you're famous pro wrestlers? If so, when did it happen last, and how did it go down? I'm going to 2 things say this. I was targeted in the streets. Me and Bagwell were in a club. Bagwell in Baltimore. Bagwell elbowed a guy that bumped into him. these guys came out when we left the club. They came out in the streets and they challenged us and surrounded us. One of the guys sucker punched Bagwell from behind, and when he sucker punched Bagwell from behind, the biggest guy in the crew, Goldberg, speared me to the ground and had me in a headlock and was trying to punch me, but I put my hand up to block myself, and people basically around say, hey, it was like a 7-on-2 attack. Like, it was just the two of us, right? And fans broke it up, and I guess the guys kind of they didn't want to beat us up. They kind of got scared, like, we don't want to beat this guy up again. The cops will come, because it was literally in front of a ton of people, right? And they just ended up leaving. We didn't get hurt or nothing, but it could have been bad because we were like completely outnumbered. I will say this about Nate Diaz. The weekend, I forget who he was fighting. Maybe he was fighting Connor, okay? And Nick Diaz, basically, their entourage is not allowed to go to the ring with them. Okay, because they've been like, maybe in that fight, I don't know what it was. But, bro, they came to Sapphire, okay, Nick Diaz and his crew. Dude, the guys that they hang out with, it looks like Recess at San Quentin. Face tattoos, bald, they look like street gang guys. Bro, you hang out with guys like that, you're going to get in trouble. They're fighting. They're getting. Bro, what's going to happen is he choked out a guy in the streets. The guy fell back on the cement, probably hit his head. He's a Logan Paul lookalike guy, by the way. That's pretty funny. And the guy's probably going to sue him. And there's an arrest warrant out for second-degree assault or battery. Bro, it's like you can't. There's no reason when you have that kind of money to be getting in legal problems and costing yourself the money for literally. You got nothing out of it except you choked a guy out that you didn't know on the street. Like, who gives a? Now that's going to cost you it's going to cost you a lot of money. So
let me tell you a couple of things about this. Number one, have you ever been to Stockton?
Oh, it's very rough. Yes, yeah, we have. We remember we went to the autograph session there.
Right, that's right. We did go. Very rough area. So you can see him easily hanging out with guys of, that ilk. But here's a problem, bro. Sooner or later, and it hasn't happened yet, but if you keep going out in the streets and, mad dogging people and looking for problems, and there's Nate Diaz, and he's probably telling people, what are you looking at or whatever. I don't really know what's going down. Sooner or later, you're going to meet the wrong guy who's going to just go into his car, get an AR-15 and shoot you and your posse or stab you, If this continues to happen, it cannot end up good. Not to mention what you just said, there might be a pending lawsuit.
Right.
Bro, if I were him, I wouldn't even be going out in public. Because people try him. And he looks like the type of guy that wants to fight. Because every time I used to hang out with MMA guys, especially if we would go to Tijuana, they'd always tell me, bro, if there's a fight, let me know. I got your back. Like, they wanted the fight.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like,
they want to test their skills against the people that can't fight on the streets.
Right, and I'm like,
which is like, what's the purpose of that?
You're unsuspecting guy,
yeah.
You're trained, fight another MMA guy.
Yeah. Next is some Garth F. killing machine.
Sorry, just because the guy sent the clip, but had you both seen the Nate Diaz fight clip, or did you want to?
No, we were every saw it.
Put it on the Patreon or whatever, because we've both seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it. I don't, people in our video mailbag, we can tell them, direct them to our Patreon.
Take a look at it, yeah.
Yeah. Next is some Garth F. killing machine. The subject is Cage. It was revealed a few weeks ago that Triple H was told by the boss of WWE that it stopped signing new talent at the start of the year, which basically means that for free agents out there, are limited in their options. One of the free agents that seemed destined for WWE is Brian Cage, but it has since been reported by Sean Ross Sapp, the guy that Bill Body fears, that Tony Khan not only re-signed Cage to AEW, but he signed for a significant raise for a 5-year deal with the option to turn it into a 6-year contract? What? Me reading that, I'm in utter shock, right? Now, I like Brian Cage, and I would never deny anyone his right to make as much money as he can legally, but what in the name of is going around through Tony Khan's mind? He said Brian Cage signed to him for 4 years, done nothing with him at all, and now he wanted to keep him around for another 5 to 6? With the reports of the cost of the video game, the rumors that Wembley Stadium show will have low ticket prices, and the undeniable fact that AEW cannot sell tickets for American shows anymore, it really seems like Tony Khan is just throwing money away with zero profit in sight. What do you guys think about this Brian Cage deal? And did you know that the guy running your YouTube publicly flaunts his George Michael vinyls on social media? Does Hughie do that? George Michael
Yeah.
vinyls on social media?
I think he's
Alright,
a record collector guy. He put up like that, Prince, Metallica, all at the
All right,
same
we'll
time. It was
suspend him
very
for a week.
eclectic.
Just suspend him for a week for the mailbag
Yeah.
for that too. Okay, suspend users. Um, okay, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. Why? I mean, unless Tony now just doesn't want anybody leaving to go to WWE anymore. This is an absolute colossal waste of money, and I feel bad for Brian Cage. How old is Brian Cage?
I'm gonna look it up. I'd say late 30s though.
Bro, this guy had a window coming up where he's still in really good shape and
He's
has a lot to
39.
bring to the table, and it's like he's just gonna be kind of like
What a
left
shame.
into irrelevance here and working on Dark and I don't know. So it's a colossal waste of the guy.
What a shame
Yeah.
that a guy that looks like that, who's a very professional guy, nice guy, who always
Super
gives
nice
good
guy.
advice, you know, is 39 years old, and look at
Done nothing with him.
You're a hardcore fan, you don't know who Brian Cage is.
Right. I feel. Okay. No. You know what? I will say this though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I feel bad that for guys that have like wanted to be something in professional wrestling, worked hard at it, and you have a chance to get your opportunity, and you get signed, and you're making good money, but you're never really getting the opportunity that you want. It's like, okay, bro, if you sign for 5 years and you're happy with your money, and you and your wife, Melissa, God bless her, are satisfied with your contract, but you kind of got to know, it's like, they're probably not. I'm not going to be as famous as I could have been working here because they haven't shown anything. They've done anything with me like previously. So it's like I don't know. I'd have mixed feelings if I was him. You're getting paid. I guess if you got a raise and stuff, but I'd feel bad that he's never really getting an opportunity to be what he could have been.
Yeah. Well, he has a kid, and he has to support another kid from his first wife.
And ultimately, that's what this business is all about: is making money. Yeah.
That's all he cares about. But I know that he cannot be happy with this because, bro, like you said, at the beginning, he was the victim of like politics. They were mad because of what Melissa put on Twitter, and they were. Even though Rebby had done even worse, but I think at the end of the day, double standard,
Right.
Matt Hardy to them may be worth more than Brian, so they decided to make bro, they wanted him to go into the locker room and apologize to everybody. And I'm like, what? Oh, my God. And so he was a victim of politics, and then all of a sudden they do nothing with him, and they re-sign him, and they still haven't done nothing with him.
He's one half of the Ring of Honor Trios champions. Right. So 1/3. Next is some curious.
I have a further update from Chris Jericho on the earlier email.
Okay? All right.
And he wanted me to share this. This is an interesting photo because, as you can see, Jericho is hanging out with Robin there, but also with super attorney Robert Shapiro. And
wow. Is that Vince Neil?
Vince Neil from Motley Crue, yeah. So he said, that story wasn't true. We hung out a bunch even. But he also reported that Rodman told him he thought Disco was a, quote, dweeb, unquote.
He told me
okay, then, all right. First of all, let's suspend Jericho. Any content from him for a week for misinformation. Okay, because I'm not a dweeb, all right? And it's very slanderous content coming from him.
Yo, while you're going back with Jericho, ask him if
the Rock segment
with Madden on Rock.
Okay.
Next is some curious. The subject is question on Lucha Underground, Hernandez, and underrated talent. Number 1, Lucha Underground was the third promotion that followed after WWE and TNA, and I started watching wrestling during Ruthless Aggression SmackDown 6 era and never got to watch WCW and ECW. The Impact to give me a little bit of exposure to Lucha style Lucha Underground was something else. I was heartbroken when Lucha Underground ended. Can you give some insights on how Lucha Underground came to existence? What really caused all the delays which eventually caused talent to split? Why was Hernandez never able to get out of the mid-card scene even when he was single? I only remember Lucha Underground giving him a decent push, but in TNA, he never even felt like an upper mid-card as a singles competitor. And here are a few underrated talents you guys would recommend to watch, preferably one with nice character work and decent in-ring stuff. You can go ahead with this one, Conan, to start.
What's the first question?
First question is...
How did Lucha Underground come to existence, and what caused all the delays?
Yeah.
What car? Well, I was there from the very beginning, so I definitely know for sure. So there was this guy that was he owned a soccer team in the United States, and super rich guy, and he knew Dorian. I don't remember how, from AAA, and he said that he knew a guy, which was John Fogelman, who used to work for the what's that talent agency that's really popular. I forgot. But anyways, he worked a lot with J.J. Abrams and people like that. And he was kind of like a guy that could get people together. So he got all these people together, and they came up with a concept for Lucha Underground. And and originally, we were going to work with these other people called
he was with William Morris, Conan.
William Morrison, yeah. And so, and he was like a mover and a shaker, you know, knew a lot of people in Hollywood, and he could make this happen. And he knew Robert Rodriguez, so he got Robert Rodriguez on board. And so, to me, one of the main mistakes they made is I forgot the company we were going to work with. Really smart, sharp people. I forgot their name. But anyways, they ended up working with the guy that did Survivor. What's his name?
Mark something. Let me see.
You can edit this.
Yeah. Mark Burnett.
Mark Burnett. And Mark Burnett was very difficult to deal with, kind of a diva, never went to the show, just sent his people to run the show. And then he wanted a lot of money to, you know, continue to help the show. I thought he was a big detriment because he was in it for himself and not for the show. And the problem was nobody there knew about Lucha. They were all Hollywood guys. So, you know, that was one of the biggest problems.